Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Super Organizer Show with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr., Super Organizer, and as we also call this show, the SOS Show, because we heard the call and we're here to help. I'm so excited because I first want to tell you this is Friday, March 27th, 2020, and we're in, interesting times right now. So I'm at home and my guest is at home. And we're talking from halfway across the country, because she's in Michigan. And I always do first my thanks and gratitude. Before I do any talking or anything about thanks and gratitude, I want to give my thanks and gratitude to everyone who's in the healthcare profession. I have family members that are doing stuff. I have friends who are nurses. I used to be a nurse, and my guest studied nursing. They're putting their lives at risk every day, period, when they work in hospitals, just being around people. But right now, with this virus going around, they're really, really putting their life on the line to help us and to treat patients. And special mention to my friend, Dr. Lori Martin. She's out there working out in Los Angeles. And right now, there's so many people, they're in tents. They're out in tents in Los Angeles, and she's doing triage out there. And it's crazy, but they are really, really, I feel for them. And I wish them all still good health, hopefully, and they're safe. My friend James Simmons, who's a nurse practitioner, is online all the time under Ask the NPs, always telling up-to-date information that he breaks it down in just layman's terms so you know what's going on. And he's like personal like me, just like me, very personable. And he's out there giving great information. And so you just want to check him out at askthenp.com or on social media. But my heart goes out to all of them for the work that they're doing for us through this strange time that we're going through. We will get through it, folks. We will get through it. I believe that with all my heart. So I'm going to you from Inglewood, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. I'm near the airport and I'm near the water. Can't go to it right now, but I'm near it because we're on lockdown. But my guest is from Michigan. I love Michigan, and I have a lot of friends there, and I want to go to Michigan. I haven't been in a long time. She is A2 Home Organizers, Grow Your Professional Organizing Team. She's a certified Sunday basket organizer. Our girl, Lisa Kelly Woodruff, who's been on this show like 1,000 times. We love her, Organize 365. And we're going to talk about virtual organizing. Please welcome my friend, as you see here, Holly Southerland. How are you?
Hey, James. I'm doing so great. Thank you. How are you?
It's my pleasure. Thanks for answering the call. Yeah, I reached out and she was like, sure, let's do it. Okay, first of all, how are you guys doing back there in Michigan? What's the story there?
The story here is things have slowed down quite a bit. We're not on lockdown or mandatory quarantine or anything like that, but I would say from a level, from a scale of 1 to 5, we're at a 4 of people are pretty well keeping to themselves. There are definite cases growing day by day. It's getting a little crazy around here.
Yeah, no, yeah. But I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you're safe. Okay.
Yes.
So we're talking about virtual organizing. Because
We
we're
do.
doing this, and they're like, okay, I mean, because I know about virtual office, people know about virtual admin work, people know about virtual this, that, and the other, but people have a hard time even conceiving, organizing virtually. And I'm an organizer, obviously, so I get it on some level, but I know some people go, I understand the paper thing, maybe, and stuff, but they're like, how does that work? So first of all, what is virtual organizing?
Great question. Virtual organizing is really no different than regular organizing, other than the fact that you're on the other side of the screen. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but the same process and framework that professional organizers use to work with our clients is the same exact framework that can be applied just on the other side of the screen. However, it does take more of a coaching approach than a hands-on approach.
That makes sense. I'm glad you said it that way. It makes sense because I'm also a certified life coach. And so I do life coaching via Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, but they're like organizing. And to me, it kind of makes like, okay, I can see that happening. So in terms of virtual organizing in general, so if someone says, hi, I want to fold my clothes. I mean, it's as simple as that. You will show them how to fold clothes correctly over the internet.
Sure. Show an example, show some photos. With Zoom these days, you can do screen shares. So direct them to the right video on YouTube. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have so many resources at our disposal.
I love it. Yes, that too. Yeah, that too.
Disposable.
Yes.
So that's what I'm here to talk about today is all the different resources that we do have and how we can help our clients find the solutions that they need. Because ultimately, James, you know this as a business person, that business is about creating solutions to problems.
Yep.
ways that people are going to pay for, because it has value for them and it has meaning for them right now in
Yeah.
their life.
Yeah.
So depending on what type of client they are, I like to say there's 3 types of business. This even goes within professional organizing. You have your DIY, who says, tell me how to do it and I'll do it.
Yes.
Then you have the opposite end of the spectrum, which is done for you, which is, here's the key to my house and my credit card number. Ask me if you have questions. Peace out.
Yeah, I know those. I know both of those. Yes, I do. I know both of those. I have both of those. Yes.
I do too. Our team does lots of done for you work here in Ann Arbor, and we love it. We call people in for 20-minute decision blitzes here and there. We
Yes.
spend our
Yes.
day around it.
I do something similar. Yeah.
We honor their decision making in the process while also being able to execute where we have expertise and make it happen where they don't have to be hands-on involved. And then there's
I'm glad you said that. I'm just one second. I'm glad you said that, because people ask me, well, how do you do somebody and they're not there? I go, no, they're part of the process. They're just not there for the grunt work. Like we talk about everything, beforehand, sometimes, like I said, during maybe say 10, 20 minutes, and afterwards, make sure that their needs are met. So I'm glad you said that.
Absolutely. We always want to customize it to what our people need and not just what we think is going to work because it's worked for us. Organizing for other people is sometimes very different than organizing for ourselves.
Yes, very true, very true. We got to keep ourselves out of it, so to speak. Like the way we do it at home may not be the way that works for them. So we have to always separate on some level. That's an organizer thing. Just we have to kind of separate.
We all think a little bit differently, and so we want to organize for people that fits in a way that they can relate to and that they think that way.
I always tell people I organize people to the way as unique as they are. I mean, there's sometimes there are habits they have that may not be the greatest, but I can turn them into something good if it really makes them do it and makes their life run better. So it's almost that specific sometimes.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that third way of doing things is this middle ground of done with you. So you've got the DIY, the done for you, and then the done with you. And a lot of organizers are freaking out right now because our in-home services have basically come to a halt for people who have canceled and they've deferred and everything like that. However, what I want to point out is that typically the ones who have deferred are the done with you and the done for you. But then also there's the done, do it yourself, and the done with you that can be done online. So really the only people that it eliminates out of this equation are the done for you.
Yeah.
It just changes our approach on how we're going to do it with someone, which I have some really cool ideas I'm going to share with you later.
Good.
I'm planning to implement, this summer with clients.
Good. So let's start with this whole. Okay, so for the folks that are the DIY folks, this is good for them, virtual organizing, clearly, because you can say, okay, well, this is what you do, blah blah. Now, for the people you're in with them, now I like the way you say that. We organize with them. We're not organizing for them. We're organizing with them. How do we start with this? So everyone comes to you and says, okay, Holly, let's try a virtual organizing session. So like, what would that look like?
Absolutely. So what I would say is first get a picture of what they want. What is your vision? What is it that you are imagining in this space? And let's not just jump in and try to start moving stuff around, but let's talk about what you're really going for.
Okay.
The framework that I use starts with the vision. It ultimately goes down to goals, systems, and tools, but we can't really get your goals, your systems, and your tools in place if we don't know your vision. So there's a few questions I ask them first. Okay. And this is where the coaching approach comes in that I mentioned earlier, James, where I say, what do you really see happening here? Like, how do you want this to function? How is it functioning now that's just not working for you? It's a hot mess. How can we make that better? Hot mess to hot bless, or, whatever they say.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
And then also not just function, but feeling. There's so much emotion that goes into home organizing.
Yes.
How do you want this to feel?
We know that, don't we?
How do you feel right now? Like, we know it. We see it as organizers when we're in their homes. Like, these unexpected things just bubble up to the surface.
They do.
People are overwhelmed and stressed, but they want to feel peaceful. They want to feel calm. They want to feel confident and proud. So I really get in touch with how do you want it to function and how do you want it to feel? And that's how we start out.
Well, it's funny because I tell people all the time who are not organized, like, I know people sometimes feel ashamed they feel scared, they feel nervous, they
Mm-hmm.
feel anxious. I mean, how your home is affects your psyche, affects your psychology of who you are. And we walk into
100%.
that as organizers. We walk into that, and we have to kind of read the room, you know,
Yes,
and use our tools that we know to help them feel at ease of some form, so we can create that vision.
absolutely. It's all about creating their vision by first creating a safe place for them
Yes.
to be themselves, like you and I were talking about, just be yourself. We want a space for people to be themselves. We want to create something that's as unique as they are. So let's get in touch with what they really want.
Yeah.
And sometimes people know where they want to go, but they won't really admit where they are.
Yes.
And so you ask for photos or you ask for a quick, iPhone video, and they're like, "Oh, don't judge me. I'm embarrassed to send this." And my thing is, I've seen everything. You can't scare me. I was a nurse before this.
See, me too.
I have literally seen everything.
Yes, me too, girl. I have the same. That's all. I go. A lot of stuff is just elbows and arms to me. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not. I'm not really like. I'm not going, oh my gosh, she has that. Oh my gosh, so old. Like, I don't care. Like, I really
I
don't.
don't either.
I mean, I care, but I don't care. I respect your stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't really care about it. It's not my stuff. So
Yeah.
we
We
should.
have no emotional attachment to their
No,
stuff. We can
no.
easily move stuff around and help make decisions, whereas sometimes people need help because they're so entrenched in their own feelings about the things.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
Yeah.
okay, so we're trying to find the vision. So I
Yes.
come to you and I say, okay, you're like, James, what do you want? I'm like, well, I need things to flow a little easier in here when I'm in my home office, just for example. Because a lot of people have home offices, and now people are home now. They're realizing, I didn't set this up correctly. I had 2 friends tell me, I didn't set up my office correctly. Like, I only use it every once in a blue moon, but now I'm here working from home. It's like
Yes.
the space, where you have your office in the house, to what kind of desk you have, what size desk you have, where are the files, where's the printers, way over there. Like, so I'm going to you going, Holly, I want a functioning home office.
Yes. So that's one of your goals. That's your vision. You want it to function. You want to be able to be productive in there. So then we come up with a few goals. And of course, there's going to be some visuals involved. Like I mentioned, you're going to either send me photos or show me a video, or we could get on FaceTime or Zoom
Oh, yeah.
and do an assessment of the space just like we would with an in-home client.
And I want to stop you right just for a second. Folks, Zoom, you can get on your phone too. So
Yeah.
one of the networks I work for, AfterBuzz TV, is actually having everybody download Zoom on their phones, because we're not in studio right now because of the virus. But actually people go on their phones and they're actually doing shows remotely. They're doing Zoom meetings on the phones. So Zoom also can be on the phone. Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, things, and a couple other ones that, so I just want to make sure I want to say that. So yes.
Yes.
So we're
I
trying to
really
find the goals. So you need
appreciate your
pictures.
efforts right now during this crisis. Zoom has really stepped up. They've made their
Yes.
platform available to educators at no cost right now.
Yes, I know. It's been Zoom. Thank you, Zoom. We're on Zoom right now, folks. Thank you, Zoom.
Yes, we love you, Zoom.
Yes, we do. Okay, so we're trying to find goals. So I'm sending you pictures of the space, and so then I send them to you. Then what's next?
Yes, I like to consider a goal something that you could check off of a list. So how can we get very specific and give you a micro success so that you get that momentum and that win? And so we're going to break it down into things like get all your papers in one place.
We've been together. I love it. I do.
You can check that off of a list. Okay, all my papers are in one place. I like to tell people to go on a scavenger hunt all throughout their house. Here in Michigan, we have basements. They are a place for things to go and die a lot of times.
Oh my God, yes.
Forget
Oh,
what's down there.
yes.
So I tell them go on a scavenger hunt of your basement, of your garage, of your car, of your kitchen, all the different places that papers like to hang out. Get them all in one spot. And you might wonder, well, what if I just want to deal with my home office and my business papers? Why would I do the rest of my household papers? And I would say because household papers are such a place of mental clutter that when they're not in order, it's very hard to be productive. But once you get them in order, you can be productive. So get them all in one place, figure out your systems. I like to say there's 3 types of paper. There's action, reference, and file.
Yes.
So Lisa Woodruff, our favorite person,
Yes, love you, Lisa.
the Sunday Basket,
Yes.
which we love, all about how to deal with action papers.
Yeah.
Then there's different ways to deal with reference papers and different ways to deal with file papers, but you're never going to get to those steps if you don't just take that first step of getting it all in one place. Like I like to say, set up an extra table in the corner. Don't put it on your desk, but just find an extra place to put it where you have a staging zone for the clutter. And you can start categorizing it on that table. I'm actually hosting an organizing challenge in the next couple of weeks that walks people through how to do this. It's a done with you challenge and service. So this is exactly what we do. We say, get your papers in one place. That's one goal. Okay, the second goal might be get stuff off the floor. So if you have all this random stuff that your kids have left around, I know that never happens to any of you. And you want to get it in the right rooms. Again, like scavenger hunt, take those items, put them in the right room. I say you can deal with those other rooms later, but right now you're focused on this room. So get everything out the door that doesn't need to be in here.
Yeah.
And get all your papers in one place. And that's a really good place to start as far as setting some specific goals. What do you think about that?
So I love it. I mean, I'm all about grouping everything. My clients are like, you're so good about the grouping things together. And I love the wholeness of it. Don't just look for, because again, don't just look for certain papers. That's a time consuming kind of micro thing you'll separate them later. It's a sorting thing later. But the first step is just like grab everything as paper. I love that idea. And that was funny for me because I am Hollywood on some level. We call them production tables. So I always tell people, let me go fancier out here. So make sure you have a little production table. So it's like, it could be a tray. It could be an actual Costco 8x6 table. And you're right, have it off to the side. And that's where you put the stuff that you're finding and group it together on that.
Yes.
Production tables are known that that's what you're working on. These are things you're working on. And I did it anyway for my various projects. So
I love that. I love that you put it in that context because that makes perfect sense. And for every professional organizer listening, I'll tell you a secret. We take folding tables on nearly every job that we go on.
Love it.
I learned this actually from a client when she said, should we like set up a card table to set some of this stuff on? And I was like, no, don't worry about that. And then as we got into it, I'm like, oh yeah, go get that card table. And then I thought, oh wow, this is actually a brilliant idea. So now we have these 6-foot folding tables. I get them from Walmart, about $40.
Yep.
And we take about 3 or 4 or more on every job. And we set them up in a staging area in the room next to what we're going to be working on.
I love it. I'm right there with you. I do something similar.
Yeah.
But or if they have at their house, they have something that's a extra cleaned off space. I have a client that we use their dining room table. And the dining table is huge. It's a huge dining room table. It's okay. This is our production area. And also I found with language, I know you believe this too. I even have to ask you. I'm sure you believe this. Changing language sometimes can inspire a client. And because I am in California, I'm in Los Angeles, I'm in Hollywood, when I use terms like that, they respond really easily. It makes it seem more fun, kind of, not as clinical. So when I say production area, I'm like, you're in production. You're editing your life. I always say you're editing. You're not decluttering. You're editing your life.
I love that so much.
That's what I do. I'm a think outside the box kind of guy anyway. But that's that's what I like.
Well, really, business is about finding who you're serving and learning to speak their language.
You got it, folks. Take that down, people. That's the truth. Again, reading the room and responding to the room. I'm using Hollywood terms, but like read the room. And I know a lot of folks who don't, because as organizers, we have to be present for our clients. That's just, any job you should be present anyway. But there's some jobs I wasn't that present. I literally walked in glossy-eyed and just did the job. But this job you can't. You really have to feel the mood. You have to watch body language. You have to know your stuff. First of all, they're looking to you because you're the expert. Also, you want to feel their energy, kind of how their mindset is, and adapt to that at any given moment. I just feel like our jobs, we have to be very super present. And I'm sure virtual organizing, you get to really be extra present because you're not even in the room.
Exactly. And it takes a little bit of a new approach, a new way of thinking. Like, how do I show up for this person in a way that creates space for them to somehow come to their own conclusions while I'm coaching them through, giving some tips and advice, but really giving them the space to own their process and own their project and the outcome that they eventually want.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gathering all my papers. I'm on my production table and stuff. And so now, am I doing this with you? Because that's a common question I get
Mhm.
too. So is this part of our session? Are you like right? Are you right there as I'm going, or is it a homework assignment for me and then I come back to you?
That's a great question. It's going to depend on the type of client. So whether they're a DIY and they're just straight up tell me what to do, then that might have one approach. If it's a done with you person who, let's talk about motivation styles.
Okay.
So Gretchen Rubin has something called the 4 tendencies. Have
Yes.
you heard of this?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Yes. So there's a couple of types in there that really thrive on that external motivation, external accountability. So I got some really specific tips on how to actually use Zoom to help that person.
Okay.
But just like any other client, we're going to do an initial assessment call. So this is where we determine, are you more motivated? What do you actually want? Do you want a list of things to do, or do you want to create the time and space for us to quote unquote do this together? And here's a unique way that you can do it together that I've discovered over the last, I would say, 4 years of working with clients, even more specifically with papers. Papers are something that is pretty easy to do virtually because they can sit at their desk.
Yeah.
It takes time. It's
Yeah.
obnoxious for a lot of people. It's
Yeah, no, it
annoying.
is. It's tedious. It's monotonous. It's like just, yeah. Probably.
Super easy to procrastinate. But when you have someone sitting across from you on Zoom face to face, here's an example of what you can do. Okay. After the initial intake call and you've determined what your goals are, I like to say, let's set up anywhere from 60 minutes to 2.5 hours on Zoom. And this could be done with one person or a group.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my upcoming challenge and thing that I'm launching that I mentioned to you is going to be done with a group. So here's how I'm planning to do this. And I've done this with small groups in the past, and now I'm expanding it a little bit because this is a need for a lot of people. So you create a meeting on Zoom and you give them the invitation. You say, we're going to show up at 10 o'clock a.m. And here's the structure of it. For the first 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to talk and we're going to come up with your next thing to do. So let's say we have 5 people on the call. And some people get a lot of energy from doing stuff like that. Some people are more private and they would prefer a one-on-one.
Okay.
But I work a lot with entrepreneurs who tend to be really open to new ideas, trying new things. And so a lot of times entrepreneurs are willing to get together on a Zoom call like this.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes
and
sense.
do their home offices. Yeah. So we'll get on Zoom and we'll do the first 15 minutes and I go around and I ask each person, so what are you going to work on? And what's your one next thing to do? Kind of like goals. I like to say set 3 goals. It's the
Okay.
magic number.
I like 3. I like 3.
Not too many, not too little. We're going to set 3 goals. But as far as Zoom goes in the virtual organizing session, we say, what's your one next thing to do? So they commit to that thing. And then we have about a 25-minute to 40-minute max work session, co-work session, where everybody goes on silent. You can turn your video off on your screen if you want to. In the past, sometimes I've played music if people want music,
Oh, okay.
but most of the time they prefer it to be quiet.
Yeah.
So then I write in the chat box, next check-in is at 10:40. So set your timers, and I put it on my phone. I set my timer, and I say, and you better be back at 10:40 because when I call the roll, you better be answering.
I love it. I love that idea. I love that idea.
It works so well, and it works for me too, which is how I discovered this. I need that motivation to work for a small chunk of time and then have a little bit of interaction.
Interesting. Okay.
So we'll do this for either 1 hour, 2 hours, 2.5, 3 is pretty well max of what I can do.
Okay.
So maybe 4 if everybody's like really in the zone.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, I know what you mean. My sessions
Yeah,
are that
so
long either. My sessions are really
sessions.
much smaller. I don't do a lot of long sessions anymore.
They can really be exhausting.
Well, people tune out after a while. I mean, they do kind of lose momentum. I find after 3 hours sometimes, they're just, I'm done. I'm like, screw paper, screw my life. Where's my drink?
Light a match.
Right, light a match. I don't want any more. It's like, we don't want that to happen, obviously. But a lot of my sessions are 3-4 hours, maybe max. I don't do really too many more than that.
That's super common for organizers, I feel like.
Yeah. I've had a few time-sensitive ones where we had to go 6. I did when I did 6 hours recently, and I was like, oh, like 6 hours, I'm worn out. I had to take a bath and like have a glass of wine. I was like, oh my goodness.
I tell my team, it's been a good organizing day when you got to come home and take a shower.
Exactly. Now, a question I have that has come up also from a few of my followers is age.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of older clients who aren't online. and who are kind of require me in person. But I know but I also know older clients who are online. So they are on social media and they're online. So I mean, is there a learning curve with that? I'm just curious, like for younger versus, because younger clearly it's fine, I'm sure. But I mean, is there a learning curve on that? Virtual organizing?
That's a really good question. I feel like there are a few different types of clients as far as energy level. I haven't found that age has been the prohibitor as much as level of energy, because some
Yep.
35-year-olds that I know have more energy than I do at 35 years old.
I agree, girl. I agree.
So I wouldn't limit it to age, but I would say motivation, style, and energy patterns are more the things to look at.
Yeah.
And let's say they're not good at technology. As I coached some professional organizers, and one of them said the other day, she said, "But what about the people who are technologically uninspired?"
That's a good one point. I was gonna bring that up next, but that's a good point. So let's talk about that too.
Uninspired, that's a good way to put it.
Yes, that is right.
I said, well, you can still use the same framework, but use the phone. So set aside a time on a Thursday morning from 9 to 12. We're going to be doing this. I'm calling you at 9 o'clock. We're coming up with your next action. In 40 minutes, I'm calling you back. And that's where you check in and say, what did you get done? And what are you going to do next?
Yeah.
And you keep that momentum going that way. So like I mentioned earlier, same framework, different tool.
Yeah, because you bring up a good point about the energy thing and about the tech thing. Those are two things that questions I was going to ask you anyway, so it's good. But I guess, I mean, I feel like all this stuff is learned. You can learn, like I say with organizing, you can learn how to organize. Like it's like these aren't magical, you need magic beans or anything to get, magic. Like you can learn how to be organized. You can learn technology. You just have to be open and willing, obviously, to the process, I guess.
The willingness is huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Because I know somebody else was like, well, I'm not really good at this, Facebook thing. I'm like, I don't know Zoom and Skype, but these things really are. I mean, I'm not that. I am tech better, but I'm not. I used to have the kids teach me stuff. It's good to have young kids around. I had a 6-year-old granddaughter who's just like, oh, Papa Jamie, just give me the phone and I'll take care of it. And she took care of everything. I'm like 6 years old. But I think I did learn. And I have an aunt who's almost in her 80s, and she's very tech savvy, knows more stuff than I do sometimes. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
so it can be
not really the main thing here.
Yeah, it can be learned, and I like that idea out there.
Yeah.
Now with virtual organizing, is there? Do you find that there are some people who are not? It's not for them. Like it really is not working. I mean, obviously, like hoarding disorders, things like that, that's probably not going to work. But if somebody has ADHD and stuff like that, is this good for them? Is it or is it not? Or like, how do you feel about that?
Well, that's where I would say tap into those motivation patterns and those attention spans. So I work with a lot of highly distractible people. I actually have ADD myself.
Oh, okay. We never guessed that. Okay. Go on, girl.
This is how I've figured out all this is because
that makes sense.
I find out what works for me, and then I know what to present to others as an option. And here's the thing. You got to be humble enough to recognize when something is not working and pivot and change. That's where a lot of us are at in our businesses right now, where we recognize, okay, this in-home thing might not be happening for a whole minute. So how can we pivot and change? Yeah. And for easily distractible people, here's what I would say. Focus on micro tasks and smaller chunks of time, such as 20 to 25 minutes. Don't give somebody with ADD 40 minutes to check back in with you.
Right.
The next thing you know, they're going to have, started one thing in their kitchen, and then they're going to see something else. We're all about visual cues. Oh, then you get this visual cue to take out your recycling. Okay, well, you take out your recycling, and then you go outside, and then you see that the trash can needs to be pulled to the curb, so you do that. And then you start pulling weeds, and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this in 6 months. And then before you know it, you're like, okay, 40 minutes is up, and I did not wash my dishes, which is what I set out to do.
Right.
However, if you really focus on micro tasks, and this would be where the organizer needs to be a little bit more present, so probably phone wouldn't work as well for this.
Okay.
I would say more Zoom. And some people say, well, what do you do when you're behind there? I just work on my own stuff behind the screen. Yeah. I'm not staring at them like.
Right. Come on, folks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
I'm just kind of poking around, doing my own stuff, working office hours, things like that.
Yeah. That makes sense. That actually makes sense. That to change the time length, change the project. You know, just kind of go, okay, well, let's start with something small, which I always have no problem with. I mean, to me, any movement's movement. So I mean, that's just, I mean, just so it needs to be, take this cup and organize it and get back to you in 5 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
we're loud, but it's like that. Maybe somebody that's their attention span is the length of this cup, and so if it's organized, that's still good.
Yep.
And yes, I'm a Taurus. I probably don't have a birthday this year because I think all birthdays are canceled right now. Who knows?
Exactly.
But no, but I mean, I joke about that, but I feel like that's kind of the basis of what you're saying, is that just modify it to that person's attention span, and then you can still have success.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you could take something micro like that cup with all your pencils and scissors in it and say, your first task is to empty it out.
Yes. Yes. Right.
That's a micro success.
Mm-hmm.
And even behind the screen on Zoom, I like to give people a clap. I like to give them a thumbs up. You know, I do that in person too. I give them a high five once we clear off the table.
You can tell I'm a cheerleader, so I'm always like, yes, that's so good. Oh my God. And I love when I love when they call me sometimes. They'll call me and they'll say, and I'm sure it's happened to you maybe, they'll call and go, James, I just want to tell you, I did finish that shelf in the pantry and it looks so good. I just want to tell you. I'm like, I'm glad you continued. And I'm like, good job. Go on, go girl. I mean, I do all the cheesy.
Oh yeah. You send them all the celebratory emojis, the trophies, the 100s, the
yes, exactly. The clap. Yes, exactly.
Party hat.
Of course, I do it too, girl. I mean, as you can tell, that's my personality. So I do it, but I think encouragement really does help in this process. And we're laughing about it, but really, in truth, for many people, they need that. They need that win, and that verbal, like, you did a good job. Some people just need to hear that.
I totally agree. You know, we're so hard on ourselves, and especially when the emotions get involved and the shame gets involved, all we can see is what we haven't done. And, you know, to be real honest, when I work with a health coach and I make progress, it doesn't feel like great progress to me. But when my health coach says, girl, you've been killing it this month, that's amazing. Like, look at the things you've done. And they point out and they list specifics, like, you quit drinking soda, which, okay, I haven't right now. I kind of get back on it every once in a while. Dr. Pepper is yes. You know, she'll point out, like, you did this, you did this, you did this, like, awesome job. And if I'm in a client's house and we empty out a whole box, we spread out all the contents, and then we finish, you know, we do a little dance, like an empty box dance whenever we're unpacking. And I'll get the box and I'll break it down. I'll be like, empty box, empty box.
You're my kind of person, Holly. I'm very similar to you. Trust me, my clients will tell you. I love when a lot of times we'll be in the trenches for 2 hours straight. Then all of a sudden I'll say, look over here. And I'm like, what? I'm like, there's 4 empty bins. You did that. And I do my, like, oh, hey, we did it. And they just go, okay, James. I'm like, they love it though. They love it. It's like, hello, I'm like, there's empty bins here. Let's celebrate that. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. It motivates people. It motivates me. I love a good encouragement.
Yes, me too. No, me too. Yes. This virtual organizing thing is very fascinating, and I see that it's growing. It's starting to grow now. I know right now, you just said we're having to adapt to our possible new normal for a while. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. So what is your suggestion if anybody wants to, we're going to talk about a couple of things, but first one, what's your suggestion to any organizer wants to get into virtual organizing?
Oh, wow. Yes. I have a list of suggestions.
Please. They're going to ask, so please.
I challenge you to think about it differently. And if you have these preconceived limitations in your mind that either no one is spending money right now, or my client would never be up for that, I want you to consider the fact that times have changed for them too. And maybe the client who wouldn't be up for it before because they're so busy actually does feel motivated now, but you don't know until you ask. And when I say ask, I mean personal invitation. There's so much power in a personal invitation. And I love the question that my sales coach, Nikki Roush, taught me several years ago. She says, is that something you would be interested in? It opens a conversation. You're not starting a sales pitch, you're opening a conversation.
A closed mouth don't get fed. A closed mouth does not get fed.
Amen.
And that's what you're saying. So go ahead. Yes, I like that.
Open your mouth. Issue that invitation. Send that personal text message, that personal DM. Like, let someone know that you're thinking about them, that they're the one on your mind. and say, here's something I've considered. Is that something you'd be interested in? So challenge your preconceived notions, issue a personal invitation, and then try it out and be willing to pivot if it doesn't seem to work at first. And here's something that also feels a little bit vulnerable, but it's something that's used in coaching a lot. Ask them what they feel like they could do or should do. Like if you get into it and you realize that it's not working, well, what could we do here? A lot of us feel insecure as organizers because we haven't done the virtual organizing thing, and we feel like we got to show up with all the answers. But as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, virtual organizing has a lot more coaching to it than hands-on. And coaching is really about asking the right questions. It's not about giving answers. Sometimes answers are needed and called for, but if we really want to create lasting change in our clients, we need to ask the question and then ask the question behind the question.
I agree.
I think there's a book or something called QBQ that I read a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like that.
Question behind the question. So, I have something here called the coaching habit script, and I have 5 or 6 key questions. And I keep this at my desk. It's this packet here from a training program that I'm in called 100X. So the first one, what's on your mind? The second one, and what else? The third one, what's the real challenge here for you right now? The fourth one, what do you want? Number 5, if you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? And number 6, what was most useful for you? So getting feedback at the end of it. What was the most useful thing for you here? And even if they don't know exactly what they want or what to do, and they're like, well, heck, that's why I hired you, Holly.
Right.
What would you, or what could you do? What could we do? And allow that space. Coaching is about creating space.
Yes.
And not filling in the space. Organizing is about creating space. Coaching is about creating space.
I agree. And because I'm a certified life coach myself. I'm a certified coach in several areas. But I tell people all the time, I'm not here to tell you what to do necessarily in coaching. I'm here to help bring out what you want to have done. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
kind of that's what we do. It's like, I'm not saying, okay, well, your life sucks, so change this, this, and this, and you'll be better. I mean, that's not what I'm doing. I'm finding out from you how to get you from point A to point B. Like my coach, Lori Cameron, love you, Coach Training Alliance. Her thing she said to us in the very beginning of our thing was, you're off the hook. When it comes to coaching, you're off the hook. Their outcome is their outcome. We're going to give you tools on how to ask certain questions to help them get to their outcome, but the work is theirs. Mm-hmm. They do the work. That's in coaching, they do the work. It's very different than organizing in the sense of that sometimes we actually do the work, they tell us what to do. We're not, this is your stuff. And your questions are wonderful. I mean, I have something similar, but yours are very wonderful. Just like, this is how I love the what are you saying no to thing. I love that. But that's like, we're trying to figure out from you, not chance you have the answer inside.
Absolutely.
You have the answer.
We all do.
We all do.
It just takes the right person and patience and questions to pull that answer out.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Completely agree with that. I love that. Now, I was going to ask you. Sorry. So you said you have some programs, you have some things going on. Let's talk about that stuff. What's going on for your company? What are you doing right now?
A lot of cool things. So
yes, yay! I love it.
Yes, I love to learn and then implement. So I've invested a lot in coaching myself, whether it's been virtual programs, and I've learned a lot of my structure from different people along the way. So I've been taking what I've been learning, and I find that I learn best whenever I implement and try things. So what I'm working on right now is, I've been coaching a group of professional organizers, 12 VIPs for the last 4 months. We started in December, and I'm coaching them on building their teams. And a lot of times in order to build their team, they need to build visibility. And visibility is huge, especially with virtual organizing, because it's all online. Yes. So right now I'm doing this challenge with organizers called the Go Live Challenge. And I'm pushing them and gently encouraging and checking in on, are you going live every day for these 5 days? So we have a few days of prep, 5 days of everybody's going live, and then a few days of debriefing on the back end, where then we talk about, so what can you do next? What information and what feedback did you get from your clients when you went live? Who were you connecting with? And here's my 3 questions that anybody needs to answer with virtual organizing is.
Let's see if I can answer. Go ahead, tell me.
Who are you serving?
Okay.
What do they need right now?
Okay.
And what are you going to offer them?
Those are good questions too. It's like really talking about your market, your target market thing. It's like who are you serving? And for me, a lot of times, to answer your question, my serving is a lot of entrepreneurs, older people, usually parents and aunts and uncles of entrepreneurs, because we're all in the same area. A lot of Hollywood folks. Those are my areas. And then, so what's the second question again?
What do they need right now?
A lot of times they need organization, they need systems in place to help things run smoother. That's half of them. The other half is usually downsizing and
Mm-hmm.
and declutter and editing. I call it editing. And what's the third question?
And what are you going to offer them?
A chance to do that. I'm offering ways to get to declutter that house, downsize that house. I'm offering ways to get systems in place that work better for them.
Absolutely. And this is the thing that every organizer needs to answer. And it seems so simple, but it really gets so specific. When you really get in touch with your who are you serving? So are they, for me, it's typically women between 35 and 55. They love feeling in control of their space and not burdened by it. They love to shop at Anthropologie. Where does your person shop? What is their style? Like, what are they stressed by? Where is the system failing them right now? Where is this coronavirus crisis getting them really tripped up? And asking them the question, sometimes we feel like we need to figure out what they need, but we can actually ask them what they need.
Yeah.
Get in touch with them, figure out what they need. So as I'm working through this challenge with organizers, I am coaching other professional organizers on how to do that with their people so that they can create their own virtual offer. And we're doing that in a matter of 4 weeks together so that by the end of April, you have something ready to put out into the world.
How exciting.
Yeah, and it's really cool that it overlaps. This was all a last minute idea last Monday, honestly, in
Really?
response
See?
to a comment in the think tank where my girl, Teresa Ramirez, we
Yes.
worked on a job together in Texas last year in Midland. Teresa, if you're listening, love ya.
Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
She made a comment in there about Facebook Live and kind of being nervous about it. I mean, who's not nervous about going live at first? It's like out of your box. And I thought to myself, wow, people need visibility, but they feel nervous. So how can we overcome that? And what can I offer them? And that's where I came up with, I'm going to offer them a 10-day challenge for $47.
So good.
3 days later, I put it out. I have 25 people in the challenge right now. And then we get to the end of the challenge and I'm going to offer them 4 weeks to work together. And as I go through this challenge with them, I'm going to say, what do you need? What are you willing to pay for that? What solution can I create for you? A very collaborative environment. Well, the really cool thing about this is all that was a last minute idea as of like just a few days ago. And it overlaps with the virtual offer that I'm getting ready to launch to my clients. We're going to call it something like Tame the Paper Monster.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Yeah. And so Lisa's Sunday Basket is just one element of that. So it's going to kick off with a Sunday Basket workshop, $30. This is what it takes. And then my 10-day process will be an extra $37 where people can join in and get a taste and see of what it's like to be on Zoom and have these co-working sessions and work together. So the really cool thing about this is that the organizers I'm coaching get to see me try something. They get to see me pivot and change and offer as a way to take ideas, model. I'm trying to figure out the whole affiliate marketing thing right now in case they want to share what I'm doing with their people. There's just so many things that we can pivot and create right now. And I'm loving being right in the middle of it.
You're my kind of girl. I just people always look at me sometimes and go, well, in the organizing world, like, geez, how'd you come up with this idea? How'd you come up with this idea? And a lot of times it is from clients. It's from a colleague. It's like you read something and go, and no one's doing that right now. Or no one's offering it in our area. Or like and you go, okay, I'm going to do that. And you made a plan and here you go. It's amazing. I'm very proud of you. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, as we wrap this up, I talk to you forever. As we wrap this up, what are some last words? What are some last things you want to say to the folks out there listening and watching this?
Yes, believe in yourself. Believe that you already have what it takes to do this. take note of what frameworks you've already used and believe in yourself that you have what it takes to try something new. Use me as a resource. I have a free download on my website, growyourpoteam.com. And it's an ultimate starter bundle of forms, templates, ideas, how you can structure your own virtual organizing offers. You know, there's several types of things you can do. So I go through some options and what you could do with that. So that's a great place to start. James, I know on your show you love to talk about a starting place for people. And that's what I love to provide too, is here's where you can jump off from. Let us know if we can be a resource. We know you can do it. Fly, spread your wings. You got this.
What's it? Is it POT.com? Growyourpot.com?
Growyourpoteam.com.
I'm going to post it on the page. Okay, I'll make sure I post it on there.
Awesome.
Okay, sure it's on there. Thank you for being on the show, Ms. Holly.
Absolutely.
You are amazing. You are amazing.
Right back at you.
10,000 emojis to you. You are amazing. We'll have you on again. We'll have you on again at some point. But tell the folks where they can find you online, on the interwebs.
Sure. Well, Facebook is where I'm most active. My personal profile, I share a lot of things on there. The group that I'm most active in right now is called A2 Home Organizers, named after my business here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I go live each day, share a few tips and encouragement, invite you along for the ride. Yeah,
she does. She does, folks. And so you'll follow her there. Again, I'm James Lott Jr. This is the SOS show at James Lott Jr. We are on every platform you can think of. You can find podcasts. I mean, like everywhere from Apple Podcasts to iHeartRadio to Deezer to Spotify to Pandora. I mean, I blanket everything. So when you're there, wherever you find me, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, rate, share with someone who needs to hear this. Please do. If you contact her, let you know you heard it from the show, you heard it from me, you heard it from her mouth on my show, let her know that. If you're a little nervous, I'll introduce you to you. You can contact me, I'll introduce you to her yourself and, and make an introduction. I know some people get a little nervous when it comes to social interaction, but I can do that for you with not a problem whatsoever. We are on Facebook at the SOS Show at James Lott Jr. We are on Twitter at the SOS_show. Do not forget that underscore. And where can you find me? Where all James Lott Juniors are sold, at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. I made it easy for you. I am on TikTok. Yes, I am using TikTok. I have a series on there called How to Get Super Organized in Under a Minute. And it's doing very well on there, apparently. People are listening to my tips. And I give tips all the time. And so go check that out. I'm at James Lott Jr. there. And I'll be releasing my first organizing book after 11 years in the business.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm releasing it. And but stay tuned. It's coming soon. Right now, with the virus thing, I'm kind of retooling when I bring it out. But just watch out for it. It's coming soon. But thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Holly. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe while you're out there and get organized while you have a chance.